anytime you get an idea that just drops in your head and you're like, where did that come from? It came from the field. And you somehow got quiet enough or still enough or receptive enough to receive it. And so that's what we're doing in these field trips, is getting quiet enough and clear enough and receptive enough to receive this information and to be able to understand and translate it, because it doesn't always come in as like, hello from the other side, right? Welcome to the world of energy, where science meets spirit. Ancient wisdom merges with cutting-edge knowledge, and the possibilities for a healthier, happier you are endless. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Energy Works. Lauren here with a solo podcast today. I want to just talk a little bit about our first field trip that I hosted on whatwouldlou.com. Many of you know that I started What Would Lou Do after a year of grief and mourning for Louis L'Amour, not the writer, the puppy. And the field trip is my idea of learning how to communicate outside of the traditional ways. I got this idea from a bunch of sources, but one that was the most influential was the podcast many of you have listened to now, the podcast called The Telepathy Tapes, which showed how people who are nonverbal are still communicating and how they communicate beyond space and time. And I started to get really interested in death and near-death experiences and post-death communications. And so I wanted to start to open up to the field in a deeper way. So the field, what is the field? It's where everything is interconnected. It is what we live in, but we don't talk about it. It's like the fish don't talk about the water that they're swimming in. The word ether went out of vogue a long time ago, and it's just been starting to come back into vogue now, talking about where is everything coming from, and that space is not a vacuum. It's full of energy, and it's this energy which spins into form, which then creates everything, all matter that exists in the universe. And so everything exists still, right? Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It simply changes form. So could it change form to a way that it is still aggregated together in the personality or the persona of a creature or a human that you've lost? And can you still communicate with them? There are overwhelming anecdotal evidence to the positive in this, that yes, you absolutely can communicate. And yes, there absolutely is a continuation of these personalities after death. So I don't want to get into that argument, whether it happens or not. If you don't believe it happens, you can click shut off this podcast and you don't need to listen to it. But I believe that the evidence is so overwhelming that it's not even worth having that conversation anymore. In fact, when I interviewed Donna Eden on this very podcast on an episode of Big Ideas, she said she's just incredulous that there's anyone that could believe that there is no life after death, because she personally has had so many experiences with people coming through her to try to communicate with someone on her table. And the stories are just mind-boggling. They're fascinating. And so I wanted to start to facilitate these field trips where we literally go into the field. We're in the field all the time, but we could get so distracted by our conscious lives, all the things we have to do, and just being in a physical body, eating, sleeping, showering, shopping, all of the things that we do. And so to be able to quiet those things down so that we can listen to the communication that is happening all the time. And I liken it sort of to the physical body. There's communication going on in the physical body all the time that you have no idea is going on. Your body is talking to itself amongst the 100 trillion cells to coordinate to make you. Just taking a step forward requires a remarkable amount of coordination. So that's going on all the time. And is there a way for us to quiet ourselves down so that we can hear these communications? And then, I don't know that I need to hear every cell saying like, hey, we need more water, or we need more salt, or whatever it is that they need. I don't need to hear those communications, but I would like to hear from the people who have gone beyond. Anytime you get an idea that just drops in your head and you're like, where did that come from? It came from the field. And you somehow got quiet enough or still enough or receptive enough to receive it. And so that's what we're doing in these field trips, is getting quiet enough and clear enough and receptive enough to receive this information and to be able to understand and translate it, because it doesn't always come in as like, hello from the other side, right? This is why we're always looking for signs and symbols, because that is really how the universe speaks. And so joining all together to create a morphic field of entering into these fields is a very powerful experiment. And we had a very powerful time yesterday. And we're going to do it again and again and again. And every month, it's going to get bigger and more powerful, because when you continue something, when you practice something, and when you do it with a community, it becomes stronger and more resonant. And that's what we're looking for, is the resonance, so that we can tune in to the exact station of what it is that we're trying to find. So I want to invite you to the next field trip. And you can find information about that on whatwouldlou.com. First, we need to get ourselves grounded. We need to get our energies organized. And then we need to just take, is it a zipper to the field? I'm not going to tell you exactly what we do to get into it, but I hope you join us and come along for the ride, because it's powerful and transformative and so life-affirming to get these messages from the universe that you are loved, that you are witnessed, that you are held. These are the things that change lives for the better. These are the things that pull us out of the despair that we have at the seeming randomness of life, especially when we've had challenging experiences and grief and trauma, to put things into context so that the story has more meaning and that we have more capacity to understand our own stories and to place them in context and to get feedback from the universe. It's exciting, it's magical, and it's a really beautiful experience to share. So I'd like to share it with you too. If you feel called, join us on our next field trip, where you can hear your story and tell your story and share it with all of us who are cheering you on. Whether you're in the EM Yoga community, the What Would Lou Do community, I hope you're in some community somewhere where you're witnessed and loved for just being you. That's the biggest message that the universe has, is you are lovable just as you are right now. So whether you join us on a field trip or not, hear that. Take that in. You can put both hands over your heart and take a deep breath in the nose, out the mouth. And just take that in. Thanks for tuning in. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and we'll see you next time on Energy Works.
Alrighty, Energy fans, that's a wrap on another positively charged episode of Energy Works. Lauren, this is the part where we get to use our energy puns.
It's been electrifying, hasn't it, Flame? We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have.
If you're feeling amped up and you want to keep your energy flowing, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform.
And we'd love to hear from you. So please take a moment to leave us a review. Your feedback helps us continue to deliver content that resonates. So light up our inbox.
And spark a conversation with your friends to tell them about us. And we'll see you next time on Energy Works.